cut-
put in a pipe.
We could cut that road.
Yeah.
We need to.
I mean, that's the only way to get
Or
water.
raise the road up even
The only way to
more.
get water from this side to this
Yeah,
side is
I
to
mean,
cut
that's
the
an
road.
idea too, just flood both sides.
Because the water that even comes from.
You
my
ready,
place,
guys?
Okay,
Yeah.
There's
What's
no,
that?
no.
Yeah, it's
big
6
spot.
o'clock.
Put yourself in.
I got them coming,
You
but
got yourself in.
Alright, it's 6 o'clock.
Okay, well, hold on. Danny's
good?
on the phone.
Oh, Danny's on speakerphone? Hey, Danny. Hey. Alright, at 6 o'clock, we're gonna call this meeting to order of June 23rd, 2025 Planning Commission meeting for Chapel Hill. Determination of a quorum, we're all present except for Ben, but that does leave us with a quorum. Approval of minutes from last month, anybody look over them?
make a motion to approve.
Alright,
I'll second.
have a motion and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Public comments, do we have any public comments relating to agenda items for tonight? Hearing none, we'll move on to old business. We do have one item under old business, consideration of recommendation to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen with regard to the rezoning of 6.35 acres on Nashville Highway owned by Smyrna Baptist Church from R1 residential to B2 intermediate business. That's in our packet here. Does anybody have any questions about that?
No.
And this is the second or first reading?
First.
So this is
You
the
just
formal
have-
recommendation, BOMA passed it, as you know, on first reading, but, because this wasn't on the agenda last month, we put it on, have the recommendation done.
Okay. Do we have a recommendation relating?
Yep.
I'll make
Favorable.
make a motion for favorable recommendation, pass on to the zone.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. New business. Do we have any new business before the board? I don't think anything was submitted in the time frame for new business, so having no new business, we'll move on to discussion items.
I got one too, also, we can go through yours.
Okay, so we got 5 items for discussion. We'll start with the first one here, the permitted use table. Looks like that's our newest and best with all of the things we discussed last month. Amy, what were you saying earlier?
Y'all are okay with that? If you're gonna have more changes made to the zoning ordinance, it would be easier if we did them all at one time on the ordinance,
Okay. So the fence ordinance, the permitted use table, just send all that,
at one time.
okay, cause that goes to BOMA, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So does anybody have any questions on the permitted use table?
No, I made just suggestions, this comment was brought up, if, right now, storage facilities are permitted by right in B3 only and by special exception in B2 and B1, so just if that's, if y'all wanna revisit that at all before you make a recommendation, that's something to look at.
B3, what you say about the B2, Todd?
B3 is the only one it's permitted by right in, and
B2
in
is
B2
special
and B1 special exception, so.
So B2 and B1 is special exception. Okay. That's the way it is in the table we've been working on, and how it currently is.
That I don't know, I was just
Okay.
looking, since
Yep.
it brought, we're talking about it, just looked at it.
Yeah.
What page would that be? 'Cause I got the old one.
2, well, 3 if you count the very beginning.
I'm not sure exactly where it is.
It's in the middle of the
Dead,
second
dead
page.
center of the page. Next.
So, just a question, the mini stores north of town, that was in the county.
Mini storage
That
on the
was-
north of town, the mini storage on the north of town was actually county.
That was county at the time.
It was county at the time, and then we
We annexed it,
annexed it into the city,
Okay.
so that's all city. So
but at the
that's
time
storage.
it was built, that was
At that
county.
time, that was a county.
And I know the one on 99, that's county. It's the same, okay, so it's actually been,
See, that's added.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we had
There's the railroad.
a mini storage unit
In the city limits.
built in the city limits. We've had a couple built right outside the city limits, but we haven't had one inside the city limits, so that's, so we can look at that, we can either leave it alone and discuss it now, or discuss it before we pass it on.
Steve, do you know what other, cities and counties do in relation to mini storage facilities? Are they pretty much allowed in any business zone, or just, ours allows it in B3?
In the lower, you could, well, I'll just say, there's some that wouldn't allow it in, straight office.
Okay,
You know,
so like a B1, maybe not allowed, but,
but you do it like in general retail.
okay. So it might be better to leave it by special exception, because it wouldn't fit in the middle of a parking lot for a retail center. But
Yeah.
leaving it to special exception does leave us more with the upper hand, I guess, from a, like, I mean, it is allowed in the B3. So if somebody wanted it, they could either rezone property to B3 or come in and, and ask for it by special exception in B1 or B2. And what we would look at is the proximity of, does it fit properly where they're wanting to put it? So,
That'd be good.
So for now, leave it alone. We can always come back to it later if we want to. Okay, so I like that. So permitted use table, we'll pass along with the fences and everything else. Next item under discussion is tiny homes. If y'all notice in your packet, last page, the state does have a pretty detailed write-up of what they allow, or what the state dictates with tiny homes, and more or less, a tiny home is held to the same criteria as any other site-built structure. So just because it's on wheels or brought in from somewhere else, if it's not signed off on by an engineer, it's pretty much not allowed, unless the city decided to opt out of the state requirement. But I think, Danny, I know you've done a lot of research on this. I think it's best we just stay to the state guidelines, and also the Marshall County Codes Department, if somebody wants to construct a tiny home on site, on a vacant lot, it's just gotta meet the same criteria it would for any other house, that the county's gonna be inspecting, and the state guidelines. Would you agree with that?
I would, because we will start getting, well, I know in the past, Isaac, as you, we've had several requests, to look at that. So I think it is wise to put something in place to just shore it up and then allow them to come before the planning commission once they've met everything according to the state, to the county.
And if it does come from somewhere else, if it shows up mobile, either on wheels or even a, crane set all frame, it would just have to be built in a manufacturing plant that's set up with the state, like a mobile home or a modular home that meets all of the state's criteria. It can't just be built in somebody's backyard and sold as a tiny house and show up on wheels and axles.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so, Todd, because this is already a state statute, we don't, unless we're opting out of it, we don't really have to
Correct, yeah.
take any action on it.
And I don't think it would even come before you unless they were doing a subdivision
Yeah.
to place it on.
That's true,
As long as it
yeah.
met the requirements, it would be approved just like any other permitted structure.
So Danny, that's a good point. If you have someone that's calling about putting a tiny home on a piece of property that they just bought, if it's already a legal lot of record or a building lot and there's no subdivision regulations that would prohibit it, we don't even have to see it as a planning commission for a single family or single, use structure. It would just have to meet the state's criteria and the building codes officials' criteria.
Okay, all right.
Now, if somebody were wanting to do a tiny home village with individual lots, that's something that our sub-regs and our zoning really don't address, so it would have to come before us in some way, form, or fashion, because if someone were gonna do that, I'm sure they'd wanna do smaller lots or something that's probably not permitted in our subdivision regulations.
Okay.
simple enough. Fences, next item. Denny, did you have anything else on tiny homes, or is that okay?
That's good. Like I said, the two inquiries I got was one, a singular type deal, and the other one was, like you just said, a village-like. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's been several months since I've heard from that person or anything, so bottom line is just so we kinda have some guidelines going forward or something in place. Because as we are finding out, we're going through growing pains and there's some things that we need to address.
Yeah, and right now, unless we did change our rules or create a new zone, if somebody came in to develop a subdivision, they would be held to the same criteria as anyone else, developing a subdivision, this body doesn't necessarily dictate what size home that they put on that lot, the lot would have to meet the same criteria as any other.
Yeah.
Okay.
One thing I wouldn't be surprised if the town doesn't see is that's if somebody tries to use basically a tiny home structure as an accessory dwelling unit.
Yeah.
But if they connect it to the primary structure or it meets the size requirements, that's probably a.
That's more of a building code, that's more of a building code issue. If it's attached, if it's detached, in some scenarios, it may or may not need to come before us. I don't remember what our rules are for detached, accessory dwelling units. So that would be more for a single use, not a subdivision use. Okay, so on fences, Steve, you're getting some information together?
Still working on it, yeah.
Okay, so it's a work in progress?
Yeah.
All right. Anybody got any questions about fences or just wait? Okay. Storage units off of Caney Springs Road. Danny, you had an inquiry about the property up there for sale?
I did, it's back there, I think at one time, we had, it came before the planning commission to put in townhomes back there or something, if I remember.
Daycare.
I believe it was townhomes first. It was
Townhomes.
it was
and then
rezoned.
daycare.
Yes, it was rezoned R3 when it was first purchased or put up for sale, and then it was rezoned, I believe, to B2 when they were gonna do the daycare, and now the property's up for sale. So it's probably somebody's just inquired, I believe it's still on the MLS, but yeah, it's just somebody who's inquired about possibly doing that. I mean, we were just looking over the permitted use table, and it's B3 is the only zone that allows it without a special exception. So if somebody's
Okay.
inquired about it, I believe we'd have to double check, I think that's got a B2 zoning, so they would have to bring in plans and all that good stuff. We would just look at it as a site-specific, plan for that area, which I know with daycare, the traffic loading and offloading at school time was the biggest issue with daycare, so I don't think the storage facility would have that same issue because people are coming and going much more randomly than, specific 2 times a day.
Right, and that's kind of what I told him, Isaac, was that, I wasn't sure about as far as zoning goes, as what was permitted there, but bottom line is the traffic count would be way down.
Yep. So that's something I think we could certainly look at, but I think we would need to answer his immediate question. If it's zone B3, then it automatically fits the underlying zoning. If it's zone B1 or B2, it's allowed a special exception. So, we would just have to see he could come in informally with a concept plan, just for information, feedback, questions, stuff like that, but, we couldn't really vote on anything unless it was brought in as a full-blown site plan.
Yeah, and that's kind of where he was at with this. He was looking at just asking basically what he could do with that property. And he threw that out there because I know, we looked at daycare, and bottom line is he just felt like it was gonna be too cost prohibitive to add to the infrastructure. So he's come back with this, which, basically wouldn't have any usage on the water and could, the traffic wouldn't be as bad.
It wouldn't, really wouldn't have any impact on water and sewer, so, yeah. So, I don't know why it wouldn't work, but it's something, I'd say if he wants to press forward with it, just bring in some type of concept drawing just for discussion, or full-blown site plan if he's looking at some type of approval.
Okay, I'll follow up with him on that.
Okay. Alright, next item for discussion, Maple Street flooding, I guess that would be on the eastern end of Maple Street, is that correct, Danny?
Yes, I answered a couple calls out that way when we had the big rain and, there's one family there that was pretty well locked in with the water. And again, we got the downpour, I think it was like 4 inches in like an hour or something like
Is
that.
that,
It was just-
yeah, I think the fire hall was getting water too, right?
Yeah, we got water.
Yeah,
water
it
and
was, so, bottom line is, they ask, can anything be done? And if I'm not mistaken, I think at one time where we looked at across the street, across Miss Darnell's area there's, I think a PUD or
Yes, public utility and drainage easement along every lot line. Yep.
okay, so I guess my question is there any way we can, I know we'll have to look at cutting the street or going under or something, I don't know, to try to drain that, because it would ease, I think there's several properties along that side that we might be able to. Unfortunately, when they were, building those lots and everything, I think it was where they thought they would build in and unfortunately didn't know about all the flooding that was
Yeah.
taking place there.
Yeah, well, and I know one of the lots even had a note on it, and then it just kind of fell through the cracks, and, nothing happened on that, but, so, as far as getting the water under the street, you'd have to saw cut the road and add a culvert pipe, getting the water from the outlet of the culvert pipe to the retention pond at the Country Diner would not be a problem as long as, as long as the public utility and drainage easements on the Darnell property, were used. I mean, I don't, the pond back there is really deep, so I don't think there'd be a problem getting all that done. I think the biggest dilemma would be the cost. Is that something, does the BOMA have a rainy day fund set aside to handle stuff like that, or is that something that property owners would pay for? And I'm just asking, because,
Yeah, I don't know, we'll have to look at it, see, I just know that that's a issue, and I told the people that, bring it before the planning commission, see what y'all's thoughts were, and if indeed I was remembering correctly regarding the drainage and everything there.
I mean, I know, specifically a couple of properties that are affected. Have any of those property owners stressed any willingness to co-op in the cost at all, or has that not been discussed?
No.
It hasn't been discussed to the point of, anything serious or anything.
Okay. Do you
It's my
live on
property.
Maple Street?
Yeah.
Okay, are you next to Dale?
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay, yeah, so, gentleman that lives on Maple Street is here. Does your
And the
property?
engineer's been out there too, 4
Okay.
years ago, 4 years ago.
So I mean, a pipe, my opinion, I mean, water flows downhill. A
Yeah.
pipe would relieve,
There wasn't, the elevation drop wasn't much. It wasn't gonna work, plus that pond overfills.
I mean, if the pond overfills, the worst it's gonna do is push back, but then it's gonna drain back out as soon as it quits raining.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's come over the road there, so that's,
So when it comes over the road, does it come from Country Diner back to you, or does
Yeah.
it go the other way?
no, it crosses from the diner.
So I think, so. if
Even
it-
with the pump going a couple years
So
ago.
if the water rises on both sides of the road in an excessive rainfall event, the main benefit I would see to a culvert pipe is the water trapped in a bowl would be able to relieve itself as soon as it quit raining. When the water across the road goes down, all your water will go down equally if it connects. But I do, I mean, it makes sense to me that a pipe would drain the water out of the natural bowl that's on the, I guess that'd be the southern side of the road. It would allow that water to drain to the northern side of the road after, if the water does build up on both sides of the road, when the water's up on both sides of the road, everybody's in the same boat, literally. So,
I wish Johnny were here, because I think at one time there was a drainage study done in the whole part of town.
there's been 3 that I can remember. There was
Yes.
one, I can't remember the name of the engineering firm,
Griggs.
they're on, now before that, they were on the right of Harding Place, like you're going to the airport, and I can't remember the name of it. So they did a study, I think, did E.J. Adams do a study at one time? Or was that Griggs and Maloney? I think Griggs and Maloney did a study, and there was one done in the early 2000s by that outfit that was up in Nashville. But the two studies I can think of, the study was done to determine it was gonna cost a whole lot of money and the town didn't have the money to do it. You know, now that was draining all of town, that was draining from the railroad tracks, that was draining pretty much from the railroad tracks all the way to Spring Creek. And I think the determination on draining everything, it was just gonna cost a whole lot of money. But with that specific issue, I mean, I think it's something, you know, as far as spending money on it, that's something that Bumble would have to have a discussion on.
Yeah. Well, and that's one thing too we look at. I know at one time we looked at a CDBG grant.
Yeah.
For particularly drainage and flooding, and unfortunately, we didn't get enough surveys back to qualify. I still have some of those on file, which, you know, we can redo the effort and see if we can get some more, response. And that may help, and again, that's a project, you know, you're subject to grants at that
Yeah.
point, so who knows?
Okay. So yeah, I think the biggest issue is we know the road in essence is damming the water up on the southern side of the road and preventing it from flowing to the northern side of the road to get to the retention pond. So I think the easements and the drainage ways are in place. It's just a matter of the money it would take to put a pipe under the road, cut them ditches in and get the water over there. And from the property owner that's here on Maple Street, in an excessive rainfall event, it's not gonna make anything drain better or faster if both sides of the road fill up with water, with the pipe in a moderate rainfall event, or even an excessive rainfall event when the water subsides, the pipe would allow the water trapped on the southern side of the road to get to the northern side of the road. And then the public utility and drainage easements would allow the city or someone to cut a ditch in to get the water where it needs to go. So I think an engineer can figure out how to do it, but the city's gotta figure out who pays for it, right?
Right.
Yeah, so that's, is there anything else we need to discuss on that?
I don't think so. Like I said, just wanna kind of remember if I was thinking correctly about that and how the PUDs were in place so that we can kind of look at maybe addressing that as projects come up and everything, because I do think that will alleviate that south side properties flooding. Again, when it rains 4 inches like it did, or as fast as it does, I don't care where you're at in Chapel Hill, it's gonna flood.
And Danny, while you're on the phone here, I'm assuming because the property owner signs the plat before the final plat gets recorded, unless a final plat is rescinded or done away with, those easements are the same, I mean, that's the same as an easement deed by being on a recorded plat. So that's, I think, you know, the permission to go out there and dig the ditch would probably certainly, you know, give the property owner a courtesy call if the city got down to digging a ditch.
Oh, yeah.
You know, certainly reach out and give the property owner a courtesy call, maybe have a discussion with them, but I think by consent, by signing the final plat and recording it, that makes it legal. To use it, the city sees the benefit of using it.
Okay.
Okay. Jeff, you said you had something else for discussion?
Yes, sir.
What we got?
Want to bring up the update on the water tap situation that the county has switched to. So, had some conversations with the county today. Water taps have been moved in the county up to 10 per year per person. So you can pull up to 10 water taps a year in the county. I know that we were up here, we were following the same thing the county has done, so that's actually increasing them, increasing the water taps per year. County is getting ready to ramp up and start releasing a bunch of water. Obviously we know they got a bunch of stuff coming. They have, August 4th, they're starting a 1 million gallon water tank to feed our new 12-inch line. It'll be coming that way, coming up this way. So the water coming this way is going to be quite a bit here pretty soon. Danny, were you aware of that water tank that was going in?
Yes, I was, matter of fact, been in the last couple of meetings where they've been, for lack of a better term, getting it together about the bids and stuff, so I am I am aware they are building it, I didn't know exactly when they would start.
Okay, the bid has been awarded for that, and so they're starting August 4th is the start date to put the new water tower in. And it'll hold 1 million gallons, with the 12-inch line coming this way, the new line we put in up this way. What they're doing also is they're starting to release water taps to developments. So they are releasing water to developments. You come in and they're starting to release it because of, obviously the plant's going in and everything out. So, I believe that the pressure of the water tap situation is starting to relieve, on us, up here. So, like I said, he stated that, they're actually releasing them to developments to come in. Cause they got that going, the tower's going up, and also the new plant is still on track to be up and running by October of 27.
2027,
2027, yes, October of 2027.
and at that point, they'll probably just.
They're gonna release their,
There'll be-
yeah,
there'll be no more
they said that that's why they're releasing on developments, so they can keep in the engineering process, because anything they approve water taps on right now, we all know that it's a process, and it takes, it could take 2 years or whatever, if it goes fast tracks to get anything where you start breaking ground, so. That's why they're going ahead and releasing, water taps to developments now, and so that is something that they are doing, that also.
So what we've done, well, I guess for the past 3 years now, we have followed suit with
Correct.
what the county's done. Did the city of Lewisburg increase theirs as well, or do you know?
No,
Just the
that's,
county?
I didn't,
Just, okay.
I didn't even talk to them because, obviously we get our water from the county,
So,
so we don't
Yeah.
have anything to do with them really.
so I think at a minimum, Amy, if, maybe next month we include in our agenda packet, possibly making a recommendation to the BOMA
To go up to 10.
to go up to 10, assuming there's no issues with the city of Lewisburg or Marshall County, having a problem with us doing that, but I know the past 3 years, we've been
Following.
normally a month or two behind their decision,
Mhm.
because we get their decision, or they, the initial moratorium was a letter sent out to everybody.
Are there,
But yeah, I'd say we revisit that, discuss it next month, maybe have it on the agenda to pass
And
along to
then-
the BOMA, because BOMA has to make that decision.
Right.
So,
and Danny, we got, go ahead.
Todd, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't our, resolution, and Philip, you may know this if you're there,
July.
resolution for the moratorium in July?
it comes up
Yes.
in July, yeah.
Yeah.
So I
And it
think
was based on the city of Lewisburg, not the county.
at that time, the city of Lewisburg, the county, and Chapel Hill.
Everybody went through the same
Everybody
thing,
did
yeah.
the same thing, so that's why I was asking if the
Okay.
city of Lewisburg.
It
had
was
this-
worded
Yeah.
as the city of Lewisburg did.
Okay. So maybe between now and next month, we find out if the city of Lewisburg has raised theirs to 10 as well. And
Our water comes from the county though. Danny, didn't we get an
Well, it
increase in
comes-
water from them?
Comes from the county, but they buy it from the city.
we
Correct.
So
Yes.
it's coming from,
From Lewisburg
Yes.
City to the county,
Yes.
the county sells it. Yeah. So it's a
comes
3-chain
through,
reaction.
comes through the county's pipe.
Yeah.
But the city
Yeah.
itself treats the water
Right.
and sends it to the county, yeah, so. Okay, well, yeah, I think, I mean, as long as there's no pushback by the city of Lewisburg, I personally wouldn't see a problem with following suit with the county and sending it on to the BOMA for a recommendation that when the July moratorium comes up, that they
Release it. up to 10.
extend it for another year, 6 months, whatever, with a limit of 10. Unless there's some issue with the city of Lewisburg, but I mean, if the county did it, I don't think they would be going against the city of
And
Lewisburg.
Danny, we got them to increase our water consumption up here, right? With how many gallons we're getting up here?
Yeah, we pretty much signed a contract with them for a year to provide between 100 to 150,000, if I remember correctly. I'll have to look at the numbers, but I think that's correct.
I think he said it was 150 when I
It's
talked
up
to him today.
we don't
Up
have
to,
to get it.
We're up to 150.
Oh, so you don't have to buy 150, it's just that's.
No, yeah, it was where we had a little flexibility, and right now, of course, it's not in the middle of, August here, but, our plant is doing very well,
Okay.
and I got
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
So,
And then they said they're gonna, obviously it taps our 12-inch line that we've already paid to have brought up this way for our water supply.
where's the tank going?
Tank is going right on their side of the park.
Yeah,
Main
Main
house.
Station Road right there.
Station's right on the corner of Van Station.
Yeah.
Right there, yeah.
How far?
So they said we'll have plenty of pressure up here.
In Farmington?
Yeah.
Yeah, Farmington? Okay. Okay. Wow.
So, and then, like I said, on the development side, he said they're releasing developments right now, just because it's gonna take so long for them to get done.
And the sewer plant, I mean, it's coming along as well, right?
It's supposed to be ready in October, come
Of this year?
online, yeah, it's supposed to come online in October.
Yep, keep your fingers crossed, nothing happens, but yes, that's what we've been told.
That's great.
So, of course, everything, we've got in our regs and everything, the water availability, so I mean, that's gotta be done anyway, so I mean, that also helps check that.
So even if is there a way if the BOMA does extend the moratorium, just state that anything over, let's say the limit is 10, the limit's 10,
Yeah.
and anything over 10 could still be applied for, but it would be,
That's what they're doing, that's what they're doing now, it's a case-by-case thing.
Be handled on a case-by-case.
They're a case-by-case, they're watching what it is, and you can bring it in front of them, and he said they're approving them right now, just because of if something hasn't been broke ground on yet, by the time that, they're able to do anything, on a major scale, that, water will be available at that time, by the time those things even come online, so that's kind of what they're going off of right now.
okay, good news. So we'll get that on the agenda for next month, and hopefully send something to BOMA. Okay, anything else under discussion? Was that all you had on your?
Yeah, that was it, yeah. Mhm. That's it.
Anything else? Do we have any closing remarks? No. Hearing none, do we have a motion to adjourn? All right, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion on our motion to adjourn? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned.
Thanks, guys.
Yep, thank you, Danny.
Thank you.
Cool. Well, that's good, news for the county.
How much did that tank cost?
I don't know.
More than
They awarded the bid, and he said it's awarded and paid for, he said now that it's been awarded to the contractor, and it's gonna be.
Well, I know,
What the going rate,
So,
7 million gallon tank.
I know about 7 or 8 years ago, a 500,000 gallon tank cost $1 million. So I would say a 1 million
I
gallon
think-
tank probably
No,
cost
the
2
revised
million.
ones.
Plus inflation.
With inflation.
3 million.
I'm gonna say 2.5 would be my guess. Is it gonna be one that sits on the ground?